Hey everybody, I'm Evan, and welcome to the heart of Knizia October, the month-long celebration that we've been doing here on this channel of all things Reiner Knizia. And today, I have something very special for you. I asked friends from all over the world to submit to me clips of either their favorite Reiner Knizia game, or some Knizia games they enjoy, or some that maybe you haven't heard of. And I am very proud to present that. The response was overwhelming. So you're not here to see me today. So let's get to the clips, settle in, and enjoy.
Hey Evan, B7 here, and to everyone watching, welcome to Knizia October. For this video, I chose Cats and Jammer Blues. Hope you like it. Are you ready to experience a game that gets better with every playthrough? Join me as I share my love for Cats and Jammer Blues, and why you should give it a shot. Cat Blues, originally known as Cats and Jammer Blues, is a card game designed by the esteemed game designer Reiner Knizia, featuring stunning illustrations by Franz Vohwinkel. Originally published by Goldschieber Spiele in 1998, it quickly gained popularity with Rio Grande Games releasing the English version the same year. A Japanese edition followed in 2013, and a Korean version was released by Open and Play in 2019. The game accommodates 2 to 6 players, typically takes around 30 minutes to play, and is for ages 10 and up. This game combines auction and set collection mechanics, presenting a unique blend of rummy and auction rules. Players dive into a world where nocturnal cats are crooning their blues, and the coolest feline groups vie for gigs, with their managers placing high bids for auditions. Ultimately, success is measured by the collection of mice, and players aim to gather the most to claim victory. In 2024, Bitewing Games launched a re-implemented version titled Cat Blues: The Big Gig. This revamped edition introduces subtle rule modifications and enhancements that enrich the overall gaming experience, especially for your initial playthroughs of the game. Having played the original Cats and Jammer Blues from Goldschieber Spiele Rio Grande Games back in the early 2000s, I can confidently say that this game is a hidden gem for those who appreciate a solid gaming experience. In an era when purchasing a game meant you played it extensively, I truly learned to appreciate its depth. Depending on who you're playing with, especially new players, the initial experience might seem off, boring, or even intolerable. However, this could be a huge mistake, as the game reveals its layers of strategy and excitement with every playthrough. Cats and Jammer Blues becomes increasingly dynamic and strategic the more you engage with it. The game severely punishes rookie mistakes, especially if players bid too many cards early on. You might find yourself waiting idly or even playing a side game like Magic the Gathering. True story. The key is to hoard your cards until the right moment, striking to collect as many mice as possible, without relying too heavily on joker cards, which can cost you 5 points in the end. This mechanism keeps the gameplay tense and strategic, mirroring the clever twists often seen in Reiner Knizia's designs. Overall, Cats and Jammer Blues is truly a hidden gem, and I absolutely love this game. I'm excited to see a new re-implemented version, and can't wait for more players to discover this treasure.
Hey, I'm Jordan with Jordan Plays Blue, and thanks to Evan and family for inviting me to your Reiner Knizia, a Palooza, a Thon. I love his games. I checked Board Game Geek, and now I'm blanking on the numbers. I've rated like maybe 50 of his games or something like that. I own 20 something of his games. You know, looking at the games that are like out of frame on my table here, I'm actually going to be reviewing and covering 2 of his games just tonight while I'm making this video. I guess 3 if I count this one, because this one isn't one of those games. This is one that it's not necessarily my favorite of his. I love all sorts of his games, and probably many of the ones that are going to be in this video. But one that I never see talked about much, and I'd be very surprised if anybody else talks about this one. This is called Crisscross. It's a little roll and write game from Grail Games. And it is like if you were to imagine a roll and write, you know, you got the dice bursting out of it, you got some symbols and a grid, pencils, that's it. Like this is a roll and write through and through. What you're going to do is you're going to take this grid board. The game's going to be over when you finish the grid. You're going to roll these 2 dice. They have different symbols on them. Let's say I roll and I get the 3 and a slash. I'm going to have to then put the three tallies and a slash next to each other somewhere on here. And when the game is over, you got this full grid, and then you're going to score the rows, columns, and diagonal. Not much more to it. The game says, the box says like 10 minutes to play. That is like super true. Could even be quicker. It is a filler to end all fillers. I love filler games. I love quick little games, and this one does that in spades. I love this one so much. Crisscross, check it out if you have a chance to. Don't know if it's easy to find, but if you find it, I'd grab it because I really like it, and maybe you will too. Thanks.
My favorite Reiner Knizia game is My City and My Island, which is the sequel to My City. They're both legacy games where basically the first one, My City, is Tetranimo based, and then the second one is hex based on an island, thus My Island. They're very fun, very satisfying. I really like how the mechanics unfold each game. You unlock new stuff. They start out very simple, and then as they add on more and more, it becomes pretty robust and pretty interesting. Still, however, it keeps that lightness, which I like. I don't necessarily need all my games to be super heavy. So yeah, it was a really just purely enjoyable campaigns for both. And I think it also would play well with two. I hear it plays well with two. I played with 4 people, and that worked really well too, because everybody is just doing their turns at the same time. So yeah, I think that's nice. It also has it works for different player counts as well. But yeah, I would highly recommend My City and My Island.
Hello and welcome. My name is Reggie, and you can find me all over the interwebs as rolling.reggie, or you can listen to my voice and my buddy Jazz's voice on our new podcast called Board States. And it just so happens that our most recent episode, number 3, we talked a lot about Knizia games, and you might have heard that my favorite Knizia game is Modern Art here. I have the 2004 version. I love this game. It's an auction game, and I love playing all the different versions. My buddy Phil has so many of them. But I think our good friend Paula Deming is already covering that game in this very video, and I would love, love, love to play this game with Paula one day. Let's make it happen if you're hearing this, Paula. But Modern Art, great game, my number 1. But the one I'll be talking about today is my number 2 favorite Knizia game, and that is Blue Lagoon. This is a 2 to 4 player game from Dr. Knizia from 2018, published by Blue Orange Games. And this falls into that network building and chaining category that he is also famous for, in addition to his auction games like Babylonia, games like Tigris and Euphrates, Samurai, and Through the Desert. And the auction games that he's famous for are Modern Art, Raw, High Society, 2 mechanisms that I think he has done really, really well. This one is, I think, the most approachable. Every single turn, you're going to be placing one item, either your settler down or a village. And you're going to be chaining and doing all these things. The scoring is really where the complexity comes in. You want to create large chains, touching multiple islands. You want to touch as many islands as you want, and you want to be collecting these resources that are spread around the board, things like coconuts and bamboo and precious gems. But what makes this game special is that it's a 2-phase game. In phase 1, you can only place on the water. You are going to be putting your settlers on the water, and then from there, you can settle onto land if you chain from them. You place them out, put out villages, collect the items, and try to get the best score. You score that up for phase 1, and then we take all of our settlers back and we replace all the resources, but we leave our villages on the board. And so for phase 2, you can no longer just settle in the water anywhere. You can only expand from the villages you placed in phase 1. And I love it so much. And again, it is still so approachable. People understand it quickly. And I think it is a masterpiece in elegant, simple design. It is so easy to teach, and yet it is fun and tense from turn 1. So I really love Blue Lagoon. I love the Moana-esque theme. It did come out 2 years after Moana, so it's just generic islanders. Take that what you will. But I think this is a great game to introduce to folks and also enjoy if you're a serious sweaty gamer like myself. So thank you so much, Evan, for having me, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the video.
Happy Knizia month! You know, Reiner Knizia famously loves wearing bow ties, and I also love bow ties, so we're basically the same person. We're here talking about our favorite Knizia games, and, you know, it's hard to do because there's a lot of great ones. There's just a lot of them in general, but the game I'm going to pick is his game, Mille Fiori. This is a combo-tastic game. I love games that have, epic turns in them where you're like, ooh, I do this, and then this does this, and then this does this, and then that's what this game does. There's a lot of those bam, boom, bing, bam, boom. Some people call it a point salad game, and it's true. You're going to get a lot of points by the end of the game, but also, that feels good. You're like, oh, he's scoring some. You'll never do a turn in Millie Fury where you don't score some points. So, at the beginning of the game, you're like, ooh, I scored 3 points on that. That was a good turn. And then by the end, you're like, I scored 30 points on this turn. Screw that 3-point turn. What was I thinking? I didn't know how good these turns could be. And, it also looks very pretty. At the end of the game, you've got all these little, sort of stained glass pieces out on the board and making it sort of this display of all these different colored glass pieces. The only thing I don't really like about the game is the name, Millie Fury. It means nothing to me. It means nothing to most people. It's not... I don't know what it means. I could look it up, but I probably am not going to. I'm just going to complain about it on other videos. You know what I mean? That's who I am. But I love this game, man. If you want a game with epic turns and combos and stuff, check out Millie Fury. It's very addicting.
Hi, my name is Casey, and I joined the world to celebrate a legend, Reiner Knizia. Thank you so much for being a huge inspiration to my work and also for creating so much game, because in turn it has created so much fun across the world. Here in Nigeria, we have played High Society, and I love this game so much. This is a 3 to 5 player game where players bid. Each players are considered elite in their society, and they all receive the same number of money cards, which they spend on exquisite materials like jewelries, watches, and even spend them in casinos because they want to gain prestige points. I love this game because it's easy to learn, but so much difficult to master. Each time we play it, it's different. And also because of the balance. Now, as a player, you want to have a balance on how much you're spending and how much prestige points you're gaining. Because at the end of the game, when prestige points are calculated, regardless of how much you have, once you are the highest spender, you've already lost the game. So you want to keep a balance, not to be the highest spender in the game while gaining the highest prestige points. This game is beautiful. I love it so much. And this is not the only Reiner Knizia game I love. I also enjoy playing Skotum Totem. And in all, I just want to say, well done, Reiner Knizia, for being an amazing person. Thank you for creating games. Thank you for being who you are. Bye.
Hey there, everybody. It's Mike Delisio, and yes, it is Knizia October, although I must say around here, every month is Knizia month, and I think it's wonderful that we are taking some time out to celebrate my favorite board game designer of all time, and someone who has, I think, brought a lot of people a lot of joy in the board gaming hobby. So what I'm going to do is probably break the rules a little bit, and I'm going to show a couple of things here, and all of them are gifts, and so they hold a special place in my heart because they were given to me kindly by people that knew of my love of Reiner Knizia. First thing I'm going to show off is a group of games called micro. They're micro games that come from Brazil, and so I have a friend in Brazil that has brought me all of these little mini micro games from Reiner Knizia, and a lot of them are solo games, although not all of them are solo games. They are all very, very just small little designs, but I just think it's very cool that Knizia will work with so many different publishers, and sometimes we'll have exclusive games in a particular region, which is very cool, but also very frustrating for those of us that have to try to hunt them all down. The other thing I'm going to show off is Thor, and this is one of the many iterations of the game Botswana or Loco or Wildlife Safari. This is a game from a German publisher, and it basically has the rules from all of those games, but it also adds in some power cards that you can choose to play with as a variant. And don't see this around a whole lot. There's so many different iterations of the game, but Thor is one that I had never seen before until it was kindly gifted to me. But my most prized Reiner Knizia game is, again, another very kind gift, and that is Stamps, which is from Oink Games, and this is their version of Modern Art. Modern Art is another game that has several different versions of it out there. I own several of them, but this one is the most near and dear to my heart. It's pretty rare. They did not make a whole lot of these, and they're not really easy to get a hold of. It is Modern Art, but instead it's these tiny little stamps. Oink is a Japanese publisher, if you're not familiar with them, and they basically took this idea of, instead of collecting art pieces, you're now collecting different kind of stamps, and they're all very tiny, and it makes it a little bit fiddly to deal with, but I don't care because I love the aesthetic of it, and I just think it is such a unique item to have in the doctor's arsenal, I suppose. All right, well, there you go. Those are probably my 3 most prized Reiner Knizia games in celebration of Knizia October. And again, really every month should be, but sure, we'll pay special attention this month. Thanks, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ollie from Don't Be Bored, and very happy to be part of this Knizia collaboration. The game I'm picking for this to talk about is Llama, the card game. I realise this is not exactly an unknown Knizia game, but I leave it to Evan for the games that are less than well known. This, however, is a fantastic game. It's won many awards, it is a popular game, and it's because it's so simple to play. You're going to be playing on your turn, trying to at least play a card that's the same number or one higher to the pile in the middle, with llama cards effectively being 7s. If there's a llama, you can play another one, or it loops back round to 1, and you can keep going round. You go clockwise around the table, everyone's playing a card, but if you can't go, this is where your options start. You can drop out, but every card in your hand potentially will score you some points, and points are not good. They're not prizes in this game. Or you could take the top card from the deck, adding to your hand, and that's maybe more points for you at the end of the game. As with many of the Knizia games, it's the little twists though. For the scoring, for instance, well, those llamas that are normally 7, they're worth 10, so you really do want to get rid of them. Then it's also a case of it's every different card in your hand that you're going to score. So if you've got 3 3s, it's only worth 3 points. But if you've got a 3 and a 1, it's worth 4. So just because you've got a huge hand of cards isn't always the worst thing. Then there's the fact that if you actually manage to get rid of your hand, you stop the round and you have effectively won it. You can slide a token back from in front of you back to the pile in the middle, and you're trying to not score points, so by putting point tokens back, that's good for you. The twists keep coming though, because you can put any token you want into the middle. So you could have one of the black tokens which is worth 10 points, or white tokens that are worth 1 point. You could choose to slide either of those. Now obviously you're going to slide the black token if you can, and that means you get these swings of points, so you're going to want to push your luck to get rid of your hand. It's just a really simple game to play with a bit of extra push your luck to kind of make the game work and tick and push people to draw that extra card to keep going when otherwise they probably wouldn't. It's just a lot of simple fun, and like with a lot of his games, it's the little twists that make it. But anyway, thanks for inviting me onto this, Evan. I hope I've not waffled on for too long. Let's hear about some more Knizia games.
Hello, my name is Paula Deming. I make board games, sketch comedy, and the serious things get dicey. I contribute to Watch It Played. I'm a member of the This Game Is Broken podcast, and I'm on Game Night Picks, another YouTube channel. Look, put my name into the internet, you'll find me somewhere talking about board games. But today, the game I want to talk to you about is Modern Art. Not only is this my favorite Knizia game, it is one of my favorite games. Full stop, period, end of sentence. This is basically my favorite game. So why do I love modern art so much? The first time I played this game, it was with the edition that came out before this one. It was from the 90s, and it looked quite different from this. And the best way I can think to describe it, if you're not familiar with that edition, is it's kind of like all the cards are like magic eye art. Is how they all looked to me, and I was like, wow, this is ridiculous. And then we spent the rest of the time playing this game trying to convince everyone to buy this frankly really terrible art. And I have rarely laughed as much as I laughed the first time I ever played modern art with that edition from the 1990s. If you're not familiar with this game, you have art and you are representing different like art houses, museums, and you are auctioning off the art cards that are in your hand. And there are different auction styles that happen in the game. And every round, the value of the art that you have purchased is determined by how much of that artist's work has been sold. So you at the table are creating the actual value of everything as you play. A lot like in the actual art world, I feel like. And so you were just like role playing it up and being like, look at this great, weird magic eye picture. You want it? Let me start the bidding at $15,000. And then you try and convince people that they should really invest in what you're selling, even though you know there's a really bad deal for them. And I think that is so funny. It's so charming. The new edition has much more interesting, in my opinion, art. I believe these are real artists. Hi, Shepard. And so it's definitely more appealing. And at first I thought this won't be as fun because the art is actually really interesting to look at. But it is still as fun, even with better art, than in the original edition. And it comes with this fun little gavel for whoever is the active player. And I just think there's something about the player interaction, excuse me for the game sounds, the player interaction you get with the auctions, and then figuring out kind of that Euro thing of figuring out exactly how much can I spend on this piece of art and still make a profit after. And I just think that's a really interesting calculation and a really fun way to interact with other players at the table. And Shepard agrees. So if you haven't played Modern Art by Reiner Knizia, see if you can get your hands on it, give it a try. I think you're going to have a blast. And get into it. Role play it up a little bit. Why not? Thank you for having me in this Reiner Knizia Knizia-tober. And thank you, Shep, for joining in. And we'll see you later. Thanks. Okay, yes, we'll play a game.
Hi, everybody. I'm Starla.
I'm Mick.
And we are
I Said Plays Game. Boom! The evil bow tie man we talking about.
Reiner Knizia, stop it. Stop calling him that.
That's what he is especially about the game. We about to talk about Lost Cities. Hey, thank you, Evan, for bringing us on so we talk about our favorite Dr. Knizia game. And woo!
It's a mean game.
That's a mean game. That's a mean game. When, you got these two sides going back and forth trying to get the right cards, to get the right numbers.
Right, because you're going on expedition.
Yes.
And you've got to have numbers from the lowest to the highest.
Yes.
And then there's also these multipliers that you can get. And you always want to put a multiplier down on your expedition so that you can get the most points.
Yes.
And then usually what happens is when you're looking for that multiplier, because once you put a number down, you can't put a multiplier.
Yes.
And then so once you've waited as long as you can to try to get the right numbers for the expedition.
Yes.
And you're waiting for a multiplier.
Yes.
The person you're playing against, your opponent, he holds on to it.
What? You holding on to it?
And he makes sure that he puts down the multiplier right after you put a number. Kind of rubs
you
it in your
do
face.
that too, and then she holds the cards that you really want, and then she does like gifts sometimes. Like, I'll give you this card if you give me one, and you have to play like that for a little while. But then she shows all the cards that she had that you needed to make some good expeditions. Boy, I tell you, that game was Lost Cities is something else. That is a relationship tester.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a game that's going to make you angry, but then you also have the satisfaction when you win.
Yes.
Based on your expeditions, even if your opponent held on to cards.
So Dr. Knizia, even though you still a evil bow tie man, to me, it's a great game.
Hi, I'm Josh from the YouTube channel Josh Yaks, where I talk mainly about hobby-related subjects such as games and books. I've been into this hobby of modern board gaming since 2003, so in all these years I played a lot of different games that were designed by Reiner Knizia, or as I've nicknamed him, Reiner the Designer. And of all those titles I've played, the ones I've considered worthy to keep in my personal collection are the ones you see next to me here. Now, to be totally fair, I do need to mention a few other titles. First of all, I really think that Knizia's most brilliant game design is Tigris and Euphrates, and unfortunately I don't have the type of game group where I would have 3 opponents to play that game with regularly enough to get to know the game really well. Otherwise I would have it in my collection. One that I enjoyed quite a lot last year was My City, although when I completed that game I decided not to keep it in my collection, so it's no longer here. And then of all the hundreds of games that I've sold over the years in order to acquire money and shelf space to bring in new games, though one single title that I've occasionally regretted having sold is Through the Desert, because that's just a really cool little game too. But one thing you may have noticed in just the small handful of games I've mentioned is the incredible variety, how one game is so different from another, which really shows Reiner the Designer's true versatility as a really brilliant game designer. The one I want to focus on today is Jäger und Sammler, aka Hunters and Gatherers, because not only has this game been a favorite of mine for a long time, but my 15-year-old son, ever since he first played it years and years ago now, he's considered it to be one of his #1 games of all time, and he still requests this on a regular basis. So Jäger und Sammler seems like a game where Reiner Knizia took the game Hey That's My Fish and thought, I could probably expand this game, make it a bigger game, add a bunch of interesting elements to it, and come up with my own game. So Hey That's My Fish is another game that has been a favorite of mine for years and years, and so this was a natural choice for me to pick up when it came out. It very much incorporates the same style of play as Hey That's My Fish, where the game board is made up of a whole bunch of individual hex tiles. Players are moving their little cave meeples around the board and picking up the tiles as they do so in order to acquire various things until they get to a point where the game board has shrunk to a state where nobody can move anywhere else. And then in this game, the whole board is reset with winter tiles, and the whole process is repeated. So players, once again, are moving around collecting things until they can't move anymore, and then scores are tallied up. Interestingly enough, Knizia also took this idea and sold it to another game publisher with the title Zombiegeddon, and as far as I can tell, there's only one rule change between those two games, although it is a rule that I incorporate into this version of the game. So in Jäger und Sammler, there are these tiles called road tiles that are passable tiles, but they don't get picked up or removed from the board. The corresponding version in Zombiegeddon are barricade tiles that players are not allowed to enter, and I thought that creates a more interesting and tight and tense gameplay and movement experience. So I decided that when I play Jäger und Sammler, I would say those road tiles are rock tiles and they are impassable. And for me, that creates just a slightly more interesting gameplay experience. Other than that, obviously the only difference is the theme and the fact that Zombiegeddon has the most astonishingly bad artwork and graphic design. It just looks like a muddy mess. And I do, for some reason, really enjoy the prehistoric theme. That's just a theme that always attracts me. So that's why I wanted to focus on Jäger und Sammler today. I'm looking forward to seeing what the other contributors have to say and what other games get talked about by the brilliant and versatile Reiner the Designer. Cheers and happy gaming.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Dave Luza.
I am Ilka Luza. Yes, that's true.
We are the two parts of
Twitch.tv/Luzapalooza.
Now back on YouTube. And we love it to be included in this Knizia October.
Knizia October. What a word to say.
Yeah.
What a person to celebrate.
I once rhymed, I once did a music video, and I rhymed something on his last name. You think it's easy, huh? Then how about this game designed by Reiner Knizia?
What a genius.
Thank you.
Dave.
Thank you. But we're talking about games that we love that were designed by him. First off, I want to mention a new game that I got to play when I was at the World Series of Board Games in Las Vegas. It was a new game, and I think it's coming out this Essen, which is this month. It is The Hobbit There and Back Again. It is, you're going to love this.
Really?
It is a roll and write. You draft dice, you roll dice, and then everyone gets to do, and then you draw it and make connections. And it's a book, a beautiful storybook. It's designed by Reiner Knizia.
You got me a dice.
I know. I know.
What can I say? So many games that we love that this genius invented or designed, or how should we put it? Just had in his head and then put out in the world. Should I begin?
Yes, please.
Yes, because mine is this one.
Viking
Seesaw. I'm not particularly fond of dexterity games. This is so much fun. So you have a big Viking ship and you store your treasure on either side, and then it just has to balance. And it comes with hair ties.
To keep your components
because
together.
there's some stuff that will otherwise roll from the table. And the real reason I love this game so much is because my friend Corey taught it to me, and it was in Iceland at the most awesome game convention I ever was at.
Now it feels like we're only name dropping. Oh, you have been to Vegas. Oh, you have been to Iceland.
That's very true. I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. What I mean is that games are about the memories we create around them, and this one has so many fond memories that really love it. I want to give honorable mentions to Picomino. Regenwormen. I don't know what it's called in your country. It's a fabulous game of so many dice, which I love.
It's funny that because now you're showing off the amount of languages you can speak, because of course Ilka is German, I am Dutch, and Regenwormen is the Dutch title. Picomino is, I think, the
official
English title, but in German, Heck, Meck am
Bratwursteck. Nee, Bratwurmeck.
Bratwurmeck.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Which I love. We Germans like to invent long words and long titles. So there. Yeah.
My favorite Reiner Knizia game is a game with loads of memories, because when COVID started, we started this board game channel, Losapalooza, over on Twitch. And we were playing games with people at home, and this game came out in 2020. It is My City. And we have played through this whole campaign with the people at home twice, because we love it so much.
Crazy. It was crazy. We had real competition. We had the Queen of Stones. We had Wim, who had all the gold in the end. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was really crazy. And we have so many really, really fond memories of this.
Yeah, because every game, if you play this with your family, each game should take about 25 minutes. But for us, each game took 2 hours, just because we had so much fun
and
taking our
talked
time
so much.
and talked so much.
As you can tell right now.
This game kept us safe during the hard times during COVID. So thank you, Dr. Knizia, for creating that for us. This was it for us for Knizia October.
Yes. Let's say mlem and bye.
Yes.
And thank you.
Stay healthy.
Dr. Knizia.
Stay safe.
Play board games.
Bye-bye.
Losapalooza, where everybody knows your game.
Oh, hi there. Did I notice that? Oh, yeah. We play some board games sometimes. That's why there's some games here. Oh, you said there's something in common of these games? Oh, that's a good observation. You asked me, am I a big fan of Reiner Knizia? That's a fair question that you ask. I will answer that by saying Penguin Party is one of the first games I have played that is designed by Reiner Knizia, and it's one of the best filler games of all time, in my opinion. In this game, you try to get rid of all the cards in your hand by playing these cute penguin cards of different colors on the table like a pyramid structure. So the rules are very simple. I'm not going into the details, but it's very fun and very Knizia. By which I mean you feel like you have a decent chance of winning, but you are never sure. Even if you lose, you would like to try again, so you will play Knizia's game again and again and again. So that's very Knizia. So if you have a chance, please try Penguin Party or any other Knizia games to feel the essence of Knizia's design. Very elegant. So, happy gaming, and I'll see you until the next Knizia game. Bye.
Someone say Knizia. I'm here. I've been summoned. I'm the original Knizia fan, Mike Delisio. What's he doing? I swear I was doing it. Calm down. It's fine. Look, there are so many Knizia games in this world that I love. They're not all good, though, are they? Many of his games suck. El terrible. Alright, let's get mathematical about this. I know exactly how many, 318 games. Too many. Obviously. Now, out of those games, 318, 73 of them are by Reiner Knizia. If you pick a game at random from my collection, there's about a 1 in 4 chance it's a Knizia game. I just love what he does. He's fantastic. He boils things down to the interesting decisions, simple choices, but with great strategy and fun. That just makes for a good, fun, fast experience. And he does bunches of stuff, from tile placement to card games to everything. Every game that is good from Knizia recently has been reprinted. Games that I have been harping on about for ages. Rondo, reprinted. What are they doing? Beowulf, the Legend, reprinted. There's another one. Chin, that was the game I was going to talk about. Reprinted. It's called Gazebos now. One of those games that I love from Knizia that I think doesn't get enough love is called Too Many Cooks. Too Many Cooks is a little trick-taking card game about putting food into a cauldron, but you want it not to bubble over essentially on your turn, but you can add things to it to stop that from happening. But at the start of the round, everyone has to kind of like put one of their bid cards out for how they're going to score points. It's phenomenal. It's a fantastic game. Too Many Cooks, terrible art, was remade by Yellow, and it's called Foodie Forest now. And admittedly, even though I was holding on to my own version, I thought I might get this new one because humans might play this with me because now it's cute little animals. Too Many Cooks, Foodie Forest, underrated, fantastic, wonderful. There are so many great Knizia games. I highly recommend you try them. You know, man, I'm looking at this now. Knizia 73 games. Next highest, Friedman Freeze 8. I've got a problem. I've got a big problem. Blue Lagoon, have you played that one? Fantastic. Blue Moon City, Blue Moon Legends, Botswana, Carcassonne the Castle, Cascadero. There are so many good ones. Escalation, anyone? Little card game no one's heard of? It's great. Celtis Das Oracle? Come on. Brilliant stuff. More of that. I could go on. Los Banditos? You heard of that one? Bet you haven't. Brilliant stuff.
Okay, so we're talking about favorite Reiner Knizia games. Well, mine's obviously Rob, but I'm not going to talk about Rob because it's going to blow this list up. It's probably everyone's favorite Reiner Knizia game. I'm going to talk about Ego. So Ego was released back in 2005 as Beowulf the Legend, and it just got rethemed and released this year from Bitewing Games. So you're essentially going to different planets with your opponents and playing these different mini games. It could be maybe negotiation, bidding, but essentially this game is a mind game and bluffing game. You are trying to read your opponents on what they're going to do. I absolutely love this game. I think everyone should check it out. Again, it's not going to be for everybody because it's, again, there's maybe some randomness, but essentially that's because you're still, like I said before, trying to read what your opponent is going to do. Absolutely amazing game. Check it out. That is Ego.
What's up, everybody? It's Undiscovered Games here, and I'm going to teach you a very unknown Reiner Knizia game that you can play with a deck of cards. This game was published way back in 1998 under the title Ohio, and that version is pretty much impossible to find. Now, this game actually originated earlier than that in this box of games called Neue Spiele im Alten Rom. Now, if you have this box, it's called Spartacus inside this box. but it is a variant to Spartacus that became Ohio. So how do you set this up? You need to get out the ace through 10 in each suit, plus a special card. We use the queen because it's easily recognizable. And that suit is just your player color. So I would be the hearts player, this would be the clubs player, the diamonds player, etc. So the suits do not matter in this game, it just distinguishes who's who at the table. So this is a no luck, trick taking, and card shedding game where everyone starts with the exact same hand of cards. By the way, this plays 2 to 5 players. If you need a 5th player, just grab another deck of cards, make sure the artwork is different. For example, you could use this Star Wars Rebels set of cards for the 5th player or something like that. The cards in our hand are just face value number cards, so 1 up to 10, and then the queen is a special card. When you lead a trick, you could throw any card from your hand that you want. So let's say I throw an 8. Now the next player in clockwise order has 3 choices. They can either throw a lower card than the 8, they can throw a queen, which is considered slightly lower than this card, or they can pass. So let's say they decide to throw the 5. Then it becomes this player's turn. They can either throw a 4 or lower, or they can throw a queen, because the queen is always slightly lower than this card, or they can pass. Let's say this player passes. Then it goes to this player. They throw their queen. Now it's back to me. So I have to throw either a 4 or lower, because the queen is slightly lower than the 5, but not quite a 4. So I can throw a 4 down to an ace, or I could throw my queen. Let's say I throw a 2. Then it becomes this player's turn. They can only get under that with an ace or a queen. Let's say this player passes. This player already passed. Let's say this player also passes. If it comes back to you and your card is still on top, you win the trick. So I win this trick. And then we go again. So I do not get my cards back. We keep playing. Now the English translation for Ohio says whoever wins the trick leads the next trick. But the original game, Spartacus, says whoever wins the trick, the player to their left leads the next trick. And that's the way we like to play this. So just know there is a little discrepancy there. We like to play where whoever wins the trick, the player to their left leads the next one. Leads a 10. This player decides to play a 6. This player throws a 5. I can throw a 4, a 3, or an ace, or I can throw my queen. Let's say I throw my queen. Now this player goes. They throw their 3. Now it goes to this player. They decide to pass. This player decides to pass. I decide I don't want to use my ace yet, so I'm going to pass. Gets back to the spades player. Spades is on top. Spades wins the trick. Now this player would lead a card. And you continue until one player is out of cards. As soon as a player throws their final card into a trick, they immediately win that last trick, and then you tally up your scores. The scoring is very simple. It's every card at its face value, except cards left in your hand are negative points, and cards in the tricks are positive points. The big twist, however, is queens are always negative 10 points for you. So whether they're in your tricks or left in your hand, minus 10 each. Now, we play the game where you can go into the negative, because the way we play this is we set a predetermined number of games. We usually play 3 times, all the way through. And we tally our scores as we go, and at the end of 3 full games, that's when we determine the winner. It's a surprising little game. I mean, you would not think that this would work. It's one of those Reiner Knizia games that just seems way too simple to work. It's all about pacing yourself, knowing when to throw those lower cards, because those are the more powerful cards in the deck. But you also have to watch your opponents, because if they're throwing away all their cards and you're left with a bunch of cards in your hand, well, that's a bunch of negative points. And I also recommend trying some of the other ways to play this. For example, the original Spartacus rules say the queen card doubles the value of the trick. And if there are 2 queen cards in there, it quadruples the value of the trick. The big catch in that rule, however, is that the queen cannot win the trick. So how that would work is, let's say, the diamond player threw the queen and then everybody passed and it got back to the diamond player. Well, that ends the trick, but then you go to the most recently played number card. And then the hearts player would actually win this trick, and it would be worth 19 points times 2 to the hearts player. So lots of, adaptable ways to play this game, and you can try all those things. And I just think it's so cool to have a quick hitting little Knizia game that you can show to anybody with just a deck of cards.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews, talking to you about our favorite weird Reiner Knizia game. And we're talking about Viking Seesaw.
Viking Seesaw is such a cool game. You have all these different components that are kind of various sizes and weights, and you're putting them literally on a seesaw. So whatever side is down, you're placing it on the opposite side, but you also don't want it to flip like that. And it's very tiny.
Yeah, this is a small box game from Eaton, and it is hilariously this dexterity weird party game where you're just placing these odd things, and I've never seen a Knizia game erupt more in laughter than in this one, and for that reason it's one of our very favorites. It's hard to find in the States, but it is a good one if you get your hands on it.
Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana, and I'm excited to have been invited by Evan to join in Knizia October celebration. Today I want to talk about actually a series of games, and in the Evan Diesel vibe, some games that are a little less known, especially in the US. The series involves two games, Heckmech Kartenek and Pickamino Deluxe or Heckmech Deluxe, but these aren't the ones I want to focus on. These are just two from the series. The one that I want to focus on is actually Sushi Zakam Gogglewalk. Before I jump into Sushi Zakam Gogglewalk, I just want to show you what a fan I am of Reiner Knizia's designs. He, by far, has more games in my collection. 38 of the games in my collection were designed by Reiner himself. And if you've never used this Geek Group app, it's a really nice app where you can do all kinds of digging down deep into your collection in a lot of different ways. So there's just a bunch of games from Reiner Knizia that I really enjoy. So at the beginning, I mentioned that this is a part of a series of games, the Chicken Family of Zock, because there were 6 or 8 games designed by Klaus Zock, and then along with Alan Moon and Reiner Knizia and Stefan Dorr and several others, there are 21 games and expansions that are part of this sort of artistically themed chicken series of games, and several, like I said, I think 6 of the games/expansions designed by Reiner himself. We're going to look at Sushi Zakam Gogglewalk. Well, I picked this one because it's really becoming a family favorite. My grandchildren really love this game, and it's super easy to understand and learn. And you can see it's got the kind of common theming in terms of art style. There's a bunch of chickens here on the cover, but this is all about sushi and fish bones, and it plays really easy. I can explain it in just about a minute or so. You roll these dice and you're trying to match up the dice with the sushi. So if I roll 3 blue sushis, I can pick the third sushi in this blue tile, and I'm going to gain those points. So I could choose the positive one. If I get the fish bones, I got 2 fish bones, so I could choose the second fish bone in and take that negative one. And you're trying to get an even amount, basically, of the sushi and the bones, because at the end you're going to look at your stacks and discard any sushi tiles that are higher than your bone tiles, and then you're going to score them up. But you don't have to stop after just one roll. If I really want to try to get that 6, I can set aside these 3 and re-roll these 2, kind of like Yahtzee style. You get up to 3 rolls, but you have to keep something each round. I didn't get another one, so I'd still be stuck there. I got 1 chopstick. I'll talk about those in a minute. I have this bone here, a -4. I definitely don't want that -4, but let me try my third. Oh, actually, I'll have to keep 1, so I'll roll that blue chopstick aside and roll this one one more time. All right, I got it. So I've got 4 sushi, so the 4th one is the +6. I'm going to put that in my stack over here, and we just go around the table and you roll the dice, and you're either taking sushi or you're taking bones, and you're taking them by however many symbols you roll, that far left or right into the sequence. And again, like I said, at the end you want to count up. You have to have ideally the same number of tiles in your sushi stack as you have in your bones stack. But there are some other things besides the sushis and the bones symbols. As you saw, there's some chopstick symbols, and there's both red and blue. If you're able to roll 3 chopsticks of the same color, like these 3 blue ones, you can steal from somebody. So if they're blue, you can steal from the stack that somebody has, the top sushi in their blue stack. If you were to get 3 red ones, same thing. You can steal from the top tile in their red stack. And you're trying to get obviously big numbers in blue and low numbers in red since they're negatives. If you get a 4th one of a color, 4 red chopsticks, for instance, then you can pick any of the sushis in their stack, but you have to do it by memory. You have to say, I want the bottom one in your bone stack, or I want the second from the bottom one in your bone stack without looking through it. So really a fun game. It's easy for the kids to play. They love rolling the dice and stealing sushi and bones from each other, and it's great for them to practice their math. So that is why I like Sushi Zakum Gockelwalk.
Hey folks, I'm Jesse.
I'm Melissa.
We're from iHeart Board Games. We're going to talk about one of Dr. Reiner's best card games, in my opinion, and of course, in your opinion, Llama.
Yeah, so what is Llama?
Well, Llama is this little card game. It's a bunch of numbers 1 through 6 and Llama cards that represent 0s or 7s. You have a stack of cards in the middle. Everyone plays on them. They can only play the card listed there. So if it's a 1, you can only play a 1 or the number after it, which is a 2. If it reaches Llama, then that's a 7 or a 0, so it circles around. It just keeps going around and around. As soon as someone runs out of cards, they've won the round. They'll either get rid of points or everyone's going to take points based on what's in their hand. You want the least points. As soon as someone hits 40, the game's over. What do you like about Llama, though?
So I like that it's fast-paced. It is something that you can pretty much play with anybody.
Mm-hmm. So if Llama sounds awesome to you, check it out.
Hey everybody, I'm Melanie with Mel's Board Game Room, and today we're talking about our favorite Reiner Knizia game. Now, I'm a big fan of Reiner Knizia. In fact, I went through my library and counted I own 41 different Reiner Knizia games. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the latest one that I've discovered. Keep in mind, this is not his newest game. This is the newest to me. And this game is called No Mercy. So No Mercy is a push your luck card game, and it is just so fun. Let me show you how it works. So let's say I'm first player and I'm going to pull up and then I have a 5. Then I decide if I want to keep going or if I'm going to quit here. So I'm going to push and keep going. Now I have a 2. And then, you know what? Maybe I can do better. So I now have a 1. So I'm doing pretty good. So let's see, one more, 10. Okay, you know what? That's a lot of points right here. So I'm going to stop in the hopes that I get to keep that. The other players now is then going to go. He flips over and he has a 5. Now, because there are already cards on the table, he gets to, if he wishes, take all the 5s that are on the table. Mine is the only one, so he'll be adding that. Now, because there's 5 there, you also don't want to get the same number again. But let's see how he does. He's got a 3. I don't have a 3. Now, he decides he's going to go some more. And then he ends up getting an 8. So he's got a lot of points right now. But you know what? He feels pretty lucky, so he flips again, and it's a 5. Unfortunately, he busts. So everything in front of him is gone. He's got no points. Comes back to me, and because it's my turn now, and I have cards on the table, I get to put these away, put them aside. They cannot be lost anymore. Those are guaranteed points, and then I would start again. And we have there's been a lot of 5s. Let's see how I feel about it. There's an 8. You know what? I could stop now. And then they would get to go. And there was, so I could have kept going. There was a 1. And then he goes to 10. Okay, he's nervous because he busted last time. He's going to stop. I get to claim these 1. That goes in front of me. And then I would go, okay, I have a 6. I have a 2. Let's keep going. I have a 1. If it was 1 the first time, I probably wouldn't have taken it because I don't want to double up on the numbers, because you can't bust until you have at least 2 cards in front of you. But now that I have a few, might as well. I go again. There's a 10. I get to take his 10. I'm going to stop now. I don't collect these. They're still in front of me. I've just got overzealous. But so now I would stop. They get to go. They flip over. They take those 2 10s and then say, okay, we're done. We're stopping. This goes into my hand. I kind of really want those 10s. Am I going to get it? Not with this one. Not with, so, and this is how No Mercy works. It's very quick, very easy to learn, super fun. such angst that you would create. Like, do you push? Do you stop? How many points do you have? And of course, once the deck is gone, the player with the most points is the winner. So if you haven't checked No Mercy yet, I really highly recommend you give it a try. It's such a great game. I am Melanie with Mel's Board Game Room. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye, everybody.
Hey, it's Tubbs from Tubbs Plays Games, and I'm so excited to be participating in Knizia October. Love that name, by the way. And I'm going to tell you about a more recent Reiner Knizia game, Merchants of Andromeda. I love this game. I've played it 4 or 5 times now. And what I like about it, it's a reskin of Merchants of Amsterdam. But what I like about it is you're really getting like 5 mini games in one. You're playing to all of these different boards, and they're all essentially tile laying games, but they're different kinds of tile laying games, making different patterns, trying to score different points. And then it throws a Dutch auction in there as well as variable scoring. It's got so many different things going on and so many different ways that you can score points, and I love that. I think variety is the spice of life, and I think that as long as a game melds the elements together well, having multiple elements to a game can really make a game more interesting and more exciting. So that is what I'm going to say about Merchants of Andromeda. That's from All Play Games and the good Dr. Reiner Knizia. Yeah, this one is excellent. I recommend you give it a try if you haven't already.
Hey everyone, Clay here with Beer City Board Games, and I was pretty excited to talk about my favorite Knizia game until I realized that I'd actually have to pick my favorite Knizia game. I also wanted to try to pick a game that I didn't think too many other folks would mention, but I finally decided that I wanted to tell you all about Spectaculum, a stock market style game that came out back in 2012. I don't know what you're thinking. A Knizia stock market game from over a decade ago doesn't exactly scream Friday night excitement, but hear me out. This is one of my absolute favorite Knizia designs, and honestly, one of the smoothest playing economic games that have ever hit the table for me. So, Spectaculum is all about investing in traveling performance troops. Basically, medieval circuses wandering from town to town, trying to build fame and fortune. You've got 4 different troops, each starting with the same base value, and your job is to buy and sell their shares as their reputations rise and fall. But here's the Knizia twist. You don't own any one troop. You're all manipulating all of them so your decisions can benefit one investment while tanking another. It's like a little market dance, or maybe a juggling act which fits the theme. On your turn, you move a few troops around the map. Pretty simple stuff. Where they land determines whether that troop's value goes up or down. Maybe they perform for a cheering crowd and their fame increases, or maybe they bomb in a small village and the crowd starts throwing cabbages. Either way, you'll buy and sell shares at those new prices, trying to make money off of the swings. And that's it. Move some pieces, adjust value, buy and sell. And yet it is so satisfying. There's this really elegant pacing to it. No downtime, no bloated rules, no analysis paralysis. It's pure Knizia. All decisions, no clutter. And because the market values are constantly shifting based on player actions, there's always this light tension in the air. You always want to sell high, but maybe someone else will tank that troop before your next turn. It's that classic Knizia feeling where you are constantly balancing greed against timing. What I really love about Spectaculum is how smooth it plays. It's one of those games you can teach in under 5 minutes, and after a single round, everyone gets it. But underneath that simplicity, there's this really satisfying depth in the timing and the reading of the table. You can play it casually and have a great time, or play it more cutthroat and really dig into the stock manipulation aspect. It scales really well, it's fast, and it always leaves me wanting another round. Honestly, it's a shame that Spectaculum kind of flew under the radar. It's out of print now, which Makes it a bit harder to find, but if you ever see it sitting on a shelf at a convention or in a used game store, grab it. It's one of those hidden gems that remind you just how good Knizia is at taking a simple idea and making it endlessly replayable. Thanks for having me, and enjoy the rest of Knizia-tober.
Katie, do you want to be on Knizia October? No. Okay. Hi, I'm Barb, Maple PhD, and first of all, thank you, Evan, for inviting me to celebrate Knizia October. I think I'm pronouncing that right. This is just such a fun idea. So my pick is a game that actually has had a recent resurgence because of a reprinting, and that is Through the Desert. This is a game where you are building up caravans on a board of these amazing camel pieces, trying to connect up to water, either through an oasis or a watering hole, or block off different areas. Now, this is a game that actually got me back into the hobby. So like a lot of players, I played a lot of games as kids and as a teen. But then I stopped playing during college, and in the early 2000s, my spouse and I took a class at the Community Education Center called Beyond Monopoly. And one of the games we played there was Through the Desert. And this is a game that we picked up almost immediately after that class and is one of the ones responsible for where I am today in the hobby. So it will always have a special place in my heart, even if it doesn't currently have a place on my game shelf because my tastes have moved on a little bit. But I do love how this game looks, and I love that it got me back into the hobby. So happy Knizia October, everyone, and I'm looking forward to everyone else's picks.
Hi everybody, Dutch Yoda here from Dutch Yoda Plays, and we're talking about Knizia, Reiner Knizia. I'm looking around, I don't think I have that many games of Reiner Knizia. I don't know why. There's like 700 of them. I should have at least 50 of them, but I don't think I do. But I do have a couple. Not any special unknown versions or anything like that. But yeah, I do have the Ra Roll and Ride, and my favorite is still My City. We played it in German. And eventually, when the Dutch version came out, I also played it in Dutch. We don't play the Eternal game that often, but now there is an app and you can play My City on the go. So you can have an online campaign, you can play against the AI. I'm currently just starting against the AI, and this is now, oh, how do I need to play? They'll tell me the scores, how it starts, now basic thing. Oh, I can get help. Oh, if I just forgot how everything works. I can rotate everything, and I have to start at the river, of course. Not sure if this is the correct one, but yeah. And now it's thinking, and now you can see where the AI placed all their things. And yeah, if you're familiar with My City, you should know how this works. I'm already trying to connect the same colors, which you don't have in the first game. In the first game, you don't have to. You just try to cover as many rocks, as many empty spaces, and try not to cover the trees. And that's how it works. It's so easy. And then you can play a new game. You can play online, join a game, create a game. I would love to play with you people. And of course, there's the daily challenge where you score as many points as possible given the scenario. And that means the whole map will be different, and you can see the gears that come later on, the skipper card, all come later on in the game. And now you can see, whoa, what am I going to do? I want to score all these wells, but the position is impossible. There's a sawmill over here, there's gold over there, but that's the only one. Oh no, there's the other one. The camera was blocking it. Yeah, that's how you play the game. You just slide these over, rotate them even on the spot if you're still not happy with it. I'm going to do a properly poor placement. It says a red line. I cannot place it. Why not? Because I have to start at the sawmill. Can I still at least cover a forest? I can. So I can place it right here, place, and try to score as many points as possible. Plays just like the board game. I love it. And in daily challenge, every day, just quick game and see how it goes. And that's why my city is still my favorite, even though I don't play the board game anymore. I play the app. Come join me in the app. Bye!
Hi, this is Ambi from Board Game Blitz, and I don't play too many Knizia games, but I think this is my favorite. This is Cheeky Monkey. I mean, just look at it. It is not in a box, it's in a monkey, but I think this is just one version. I think other versions are in boxes. It's just hilarious that it comes in a stuffed animal monkey, but this is a pouch that opens up. And this is a press your luck game where you're drawing poker chip animals out of a bag. So each poker chip is like a different animal, and there's a distribution. There's 3 elephants, 4 hyenas, all the way up to 10 monkeys, I think. And there's also these that show the distribution. So like there's 8 warthogs, and they also give you points so if you have the majority at the end. So you're trying to collect these chips. At the end of the game, you're going to score 1 point for each chip. Plus, if you have the majority monkeys, you get 10 bonus points. If you have the majority elephants, you get 3 bonus points. And it has to be majority, no ties. But the way the game works is there's press your luck. You're drawing the tiles, and as long as you draw one of each without doubles, then you get to keep it. But you stop whenever you want. But then if you draw 2 of the same, then they all go back in the bag on your turn. And then at the end of the turn, if you kept some, you get to stack it up into a pile, and like that's your saved things for now. But when it's someone else's turn and they draw the animal that's on top of your stack, then they get your animal too. So if you have like 2 drafts on top of your stack and someone draws a draft, they actually get both of those drafts, and then they can stop and get those on their pile. So you actually have some decisions in how you order your pile at the end, and your pile is never completely safe, which can be really funny when you have like a big pile and then it just goes down because people keep drawing what's on top. Also, the name of the game, Cheeky Monkey. The monkeys have a special power. When you draw a monkey, you can choose to switch it with the animal on top of someone else's pile, and then you'll have that animal. So if someone has an elephant on top, you can switch the monkey, and then it's more likely that you won't draw double, so you can keep drawing, and you could draw another monkey, and then switch with someone else, and you have all these other ones, and then if you draw a monkey again, then you get all the monkeys back. That would be like the perfect turn. But it rarely happens that way. Usually people will just draw, switch with other people, or take their things off of their top, and then they bust, and all the chips go back in the bag. So this is a funny game. It's very quick, very lucky, but I like press your luck when it's quick. I don't like it if it overstays its welcome, and I think Cheeky Monkey does not overstay its welcome, and I think it could be very funny. And it's cute. So, yes, that's why Cheeky Monkey is my favorite Knizia game.
Hey, Chaz Marler with Watch It Played and Game Night Picks here. And the Reiner Knizia game that I think always floats to the top of my personal list is this guy right here, Sunrise Lane. This is a nifty dandy little game that came out in 2023 from Horrible Guild. Plays 2 to 4 players rather quickly, 30 to 45 minutes sometimes. And this game is where you are a contractor and you are building little townhouses in a city that's just happens to be laid out in a perfect little grid. And as you're doing this, each space that you can build in is color-coded with a certain number of dots in that space. And you will be collecting cards from a central deck. And to build a townhouse, you will play a certain number of cards from your hand, which you'll score by multiplying the number of cards of that color you played by the number of those colored dots in that space. And voila. So if this whole system of collecting colored cards and then playing them to place things on the board sounds a little familiar, perhaps a little bit like Ticket to Ride, you are reading my mind, because Sunrise Lane right here, it reminds me, gives me that same vibe as Ticket to Ride. However, if you want to know a secret, I dig this guy way more than Ticket to Ride. In fact, truth be told, if you and I were stuck in an elevator together with these 2 games, I would lobby for playing Sunrise Lane over Ticket to Ride. That's right. Sunrise Lane here passes the old elevator test. So hopefully you'll get a chance to try this one if you haven't already, and if you have, well, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do.
Hello, I am Lizzie with Long Distance Gamers, and my Reiner Knizia pick is actually going to be not Zero Down. I've had Zero Down for a while. I enjoy the game. Basically, it's you have a hand of 9 cards. You want to get 5 of the same color, 5 of the same number, so you have to have a little bit of an overlap. And you do that by every player's changing out cards from the center, and you just try to build up your hand. But it had been a while since I had played this. So I went to Board Game Geek to make sure I really understood the rules before I talked to you about it. And I found out they had a reprint. So, exact same gameplay, but my actual pick is going to be Catastrophe. Yes, it's pronounced Catastrophe. Of course it is. But same great gameplay, just really cute pictures of cats showing off their being jerks. It's just a fun theme, makes a good game even better. So I would highly recommend you checking out either one. Obviously, this one's more fun. But thank you very much for watching, and until next time, just remember to have fun, be present, and be you.
What's up, folks? I'm Dwayne from the YouTube channel Blackboard Gaming. First off, I want to thank Evan and Missy over at Evan Diesel for inviting me to take part in Knizia October. I'm hoping I'm saying I'm kind of trying to make it flow. Knizia October. Knizia October. You know, I think that's it. Knizia October. Where I get to choose my favorite game for Reiner Knizia, which is a challenging task, to say the least, because Reiner Knizia has put out so many great games that have been hits for me. And so I really thought about it, and I figured this is my favorite game. I just came up, this would be my favorite game from Reiner Knizia, and that's Ra. Now, this game surprised me. Now, why did it surprise me? Because what you're doing in this game is auction and bidding. And I'm not good at that. I'm really not good at that. But I got introduced to this game by my friend. He had the OG version of Ra. And when I checked it out, I was like, man, I really do enjoy this. Where can I get a copy? And pretty much he was like, it's out of print. But then again, 25th Century brought it back and brought back this beautiful upgraded version. And so I'm still not good at auction and bidding, you know, but I really enjoy playing this game, if only to get to yell out Ra without other people looking at you crazy. Now, quiet as it kept, they probably still going to look at you crazy, but it doesn't matter. This is a really fun game. See you guys later.
Oh, you're looking fancy. That is because it is Knizia. So we are celebrating the games of Reiner Knizia. Yeah, thanks so much for Evan for having us on. I'm Libby and this is Julian. We're from Box Meeples. Of course, we do videos all about board games. Yes, and Reiner Knizia is one of the designers that I've played actually quite a lot of his games. He's published quite a few with Cosmos that I used to work for, so I've had a lot of opportunity to play some of those classics like Lost Cities, My Island, My City, Roll and Write. We've taken on holiday a lot, played a lot of that kind of thing. So ones that I've really enjoyed, but I've chosen a different one this time. One that I absolutely adore, and it's a little bit different from what you'd expect from him. It's from the Itten Games. It's a Viking seesaw, and this is the Fun Brick series, and they really are fun in a little box, these ones. Of course, there's a Viking ship, and there are lots of different pieces that weigh different amounts, and so you're trying to delicately place on the ship the pieces that you need to from your player pieces, and try not to have that ship topple up like a seesaw, and hopefully not lose some of that cargo that everyone's carefully placed on there. And it's just super silly fun. It's the kind of thing you can play when you've got non-gamers round, or a bit of lighten up in between a heavy game for some fun, hence why Fun Brick. So yeah, I really enjoy that one.
I've gone for a Reiner Knizia game I don't think many people would have heard of. This is called Sakura. And in this game, it's essentially a kind of push your luck game where the emperor is strolling around a beautiful garden. You're thinking, oh, I'd like to paint him. And there's many other people who have also decided, oh, I'd like to paint him. And obviously the best painting you can do is up close to him. And if you're close to the emperor as he strolls around the garden, you get the most points when you pass certain scoring points around the board. But get too close, you bump into the emperor, and
shameful.
So much shame.
so much shame. You might have to go backwards and all
You
sorts.
can lose points for it. And basically, you're blind bidding how far you want to move your character, sometimes opponent characters, sometimes the Emperor himself, ultimately to push other people into the Emperor, but keep a sufficient distance. It's a quirky, quick, fun family game to play. And this edition we have from Osprey Games looks lovely on the tables. It's really beautiful.
It does, and I think it's one of, knowing that we both like Japanese games, it's one of the first games that you brought me, so it has a little sentimental value for us too.
So hopefully there are 2 Reiner Knizia games you may not have considered.
Thanks again for having us, and we'll see you another time.
Take care.
Bye.
Hello everyone. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Ben Myers, and I run a channel on YouTube called Ben and Danielle Reviews with my friends Danielle and Sharita, and sometimes we have other friends of ours on the channel. We do a lot of unboxings, reviews, top 10 videos. We do an annual top 50 that we're really proud of, that we have a lot of fun doing. Sharita makes a lot of funny comments, and we laugh and have a good time with that. So check that out. But today we are actually talking about Reiner Knizia games for Knizia October. Thank you, Evan, for having us on. As you can see, it's only me today. Sharita couldn't make it on camera this week, but I do have a pick for her here. So we're going to talk about some 2 games. So first off, my pick is going to be My City. This is going to be a 24-part polyomino placement, a legacy game in which you are going to start out very basic in the rules, and then as the game progresses, you are played more and more sessions, the game's going to get a little bit more complex, a little bit more rules, different ways to score points, and different ways to lose points, and such. And it's a really fun game. As you can see, my era copy here is still in shrink wrap because we had to rebuy it because we've already played it through. I've played it through 3 times already, I believe. There's also a roll and write version, which we've played through a whole bunch of times as well. That one's a 12 episode version, also really fun. But My City, check it out. And then her pick was actually in her top 10 this year, and that is Whale Riders. So Whale Riders is a game where you play as whale riders, as you probably would have guessed, and you are going to be riding on these whales and going down the board, kind of ratchet style. You can go all the way down as much as you want, but you can't go back up until you've already gone all the way down to the bottom. And you are visiting these different ports. These ports are going to have different resources that you can buy from these different people at these ports, and then you're going to be delivering those goods with these order cards you have in your hand that are going to score a certain number of victory points, and you're going to have a certain number of actions to do on your turn. And then once you've done those actions, the next player gets to do all their actions, and so on and so forth. And then you have these tiles that you're drawing from a bag. There's going to be swarm tiles and the likes. It's a fun game. It plays up to 6 players, so it does accommodate a lot of players, which is why Sharita enjoys it quite a bit. And it's a fun one that sounds like it's going to get reprinted again pretty soon. So check that one out. Thank you, Evan, for having us on, and happy Knizia October to everyone. Have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one.
Hey everybody, my name is Chris, and I'm one of the co-conductors on the Tabletop Express here on YouTube. What I want to talk about today when we are talking about this particular designer is one of my favorites, and it is one that I just remember getting a copy of the game and being just incredibly excited about it, and that is Carcassonne the Castle. This is my favorite Carcassonne by all means. It's different, but it feels enough the same that it's easy enough for me to teach someone and have them pick it up. It is a 2-player game. It's played very similar, except you are playing within the confines of the wall within the castle itself. You're dealing with a few different ways to score in this one that will feel similar, as I noted, because you've got heralds who score on paths, knights who score on towers, merchants who are scoring in courtyards, but they're more valuable if there's a market there. So a little bit of a twist there. And the player with that largest keep, which is the largest kind of set of houses completed during the game, is going to score points for these undeveloped areas. In addition to that, there are bonus tokens around the game that add a twist. Like there's one that adds like double scoring for particular structure and things along those lines. So while it is Carcassonne, it twists it up that it's different enough for me. And it takes what is a classic and gives it a little bit more of an edge. And I like the confined tightness of it because you are within those walls and building from the walls within. It gives you just a little bit more in terms of a puzzle for me because it's not a big wide open space. If you like the big wide openness of Carcassonne, that might not be for you, but I like this because I still feel you've got enough flexibility, but it does add to me a little bit more of this strategic edge. So for me, this one by the man himself, The Castle, 2-player version of Carcassonne. It's a standalone. I highly recommend if you get a chance to play this to check it out. I know it's out of print, but it's definitely worth playing if you have the opportunity. Like I said, my name is Chris Barrows. I am one of the co-conductors on the Tabletop Express, and thanks for the opportunity to talk about one of my favorite 2-player games. It's probably in my top 10 if I have a list right now. So love talking about this one. Appreciate the chance.
Wow, so many fantastic Reiner Knizia designed games. And even better than the games themselves are the people from all over the world who enjoy playing them. Thank you so much to everyone who contributed today. I was overwhelmed by this response, and I am super proud of what I've put together here. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope maybe you learned something about a game you've never heard of. I know I did. And I strongly suggest you go down to the description below where will have links to all of their channels. Please go, follow, like, subscribe, watch, whatever. These are all fantastic people doing great things all over the place. Again, thank you for watching this episode right in the heart of Knizia October. And I'll see you on the next one, everybody. Bye.